Let's go see what's blooming in the garden at the end of June. Welcome to Joy in the Garden. There are so many beautiful things blooming this time of the year. And the first one that I'm going to show you is the smooth hydrangea. This is the Limetta variety. I absolutely love this. You see two of them here, one on the right side and one on the left side. What I love about them is they can really like carry the whole landscape. You know, outside of, I have some begonia blooms, but everything else that you see is really just foliage. But once those blooms of the smooth hydrangea really pop the beginning of June and then start getting more probably like a lighter white, and then they'll eventually turn to chartreuse. But just a really pretty stunner right now in the garden. And I'm going to back up a little here because this is where I have created the new gardening space here. So I just kind of created something that gave this back garden a little bit more of an entrance. Don't have a lot of plants there right now, but there's the Incrediball hydrangea. But this right here is quickly becoming a favorite of mine. This is Invincibelle lace. I mean, those blooms are just absolutely I love them. I love them. I love them. I've wanted this plant for a long time. I hope to find a couple more this season and maybe add a couple more to this landscape. And if any of you have any other thoughts around other plants to add in this space, what I should do with this just big, stark wall, you know, should I add more trellises? Should I add arborvitaes? I'd love to hear about that in the comments. And so as we continue on here, I definitely have some annuals blooming, mostly begonias and some salvias in there and kufia. But then when we turn this corner here, once again, we have the smooth hydrangeas that are putting on the show. I have 7 wee white hydrangeas right here. They are probably about, 5-6 years old, something like that. But they are just absolutely gorgeous. And look at the yarrow. This variety, I just added this yarrow last fall. This is the Millie Rock Yellow Terracotta variety. And I just think it is gorgeous with the wee whites. I really love how they play off of each other. And I will be, I'm going to have to divide this and move some of it because there's way too much of that yarrow. I kind of knew that when I planted it last year, but look at it, yellow with little, kind of some little terracotta-y peach color popping in there. So that'll be really pretty. And then down below, oh, the poor little lady's mantle. It has been raining off and on, and those blooms need to be cut. So I will do that either today or tomorrow, and then that'll be a beautiful foliage just kind of in front of that yarrow. And then here we have the ruby smooth hydrangea. So this was just planted last year, so it eventually will turn a very beautiful ruby color. Right now it looks the same color as the wee whites, but it will change. Look at that midnight sun, Ugila, a good little punch of foliage with the ever after Veronica kind of peeking its little head out there. And then as we move over to the other part of the backyard garden area, this is a new garden area that I started about 1.5 years ago. And then we have this little corner here that doesn't really have a lot blooming. It is much more of a foliage corner here with, you know, quite a few corabelles and some hydrangeas that aren't blooming yet. But one thing that is just starting to put some really pretty blooms is this royal purple smokebush. So I think the blooms will be showing a little bit more coming up here, but just really pretty. I don't know if you can see the little droplets of water that are on the blooms there. One of the things I really love about this smokebush is it's almost like it has the little tips are like little beautiful hearts, little red hearts. It's just a beautiful, beautiful foliage plant. People often do ask me if I actually limbed this up. Yes, I did. Over a number of years, when the plant was actually smaller though, I started limbing them up. I mean, if you look close, you can see, you know, some of the areas that I cut off. This baby is a beast to prune, but I prune it usually in July after it's gotten a little unruly. I'll prune it. There's some really nice subtle blooms really happening in this space here. Quite a few different varieties of Veronica that are blooming. I just really need to put more plants together so that it's a bigger punch, a bigger show. There's the Ever After Veronica. I think there I have a Van Gogh Veronica. And look at that, beautiful midnight sun. And then back here, this beautiful Daylily hidden behind that penstemon. I have no idea. The penstemon is taller than the Daylily, so I need to move that Daylily up. But this is an absolutely beautiful Daylily. I think it's called a Siloam Double Classic, but a really, really pretty variety and a really good punch in this garden right now. If I had more of it, but I think you need more of it to really, you know, make it a nice punch. The pale purple coneflower there is looking quite pretty. I look forward to, you know, more blooms and that getting much bigger as the years go on. And then a few agastache varieties. So the first one there on the left is the Blue Fortune. And then if you look on the right, that is the Blue Boa. So they are definitely looking nice, a nice little subtle upright. They are not staked, but they are holding up great to really some very heavy winds and heavy rain. And then there is another Ever After Veronica. I keep my eye out for that in every garden nursery I go in. I love it. It's for some reason a little bit hard to find in my area. There's some more catmint in the back. And then I spy with my little eye my very first Snapdragon bloom. So this is quite a moment for me. I started Snapdragon from seed. I followed Stacy from Bricks and Blooms. I followed everything she said to do about Snapdragons, including the variety and everything. And I just can't believe I actually have a bloom. So I think I started, I'm not even sure, four varieties, I think, of Snapdragons. From how many seeds I started to then how many plants, you know, really were viable. And then when I got them in the ground, we had such a cold spring. It was just all very chaotic. And I thought, oh, I don't think I'm going to grow Snapdragons again. I don't know. That wasn't very successful. But now I see this and I'm like, well, now I have to grow Snapdragons again. I have to. I'm not sure exactly what all these other varieties are, but I think I'm going to get more blooms. And it's not a lot of blooms, but as gardeners, when you start something from seed and it actually works out and you actually see a beautiful flower, there is something very, very exciting that happens. It's beautiful. Chantilly light salmon. Beautiful. I do have another important question for all of you. I'm in Zone 5B in Iowa, and normally Millennium Allium would not be blooming until mid-July at the earliest, usually later, but it's blooming. Anybody else have some weird things like that happening? Again, I think it was just weird weather between cold and hot, just weird weather. Plants are confused, so they're living a life of their own, doing what they want to do. And now we'll head on up to the front garden to see what's in bloom up there. Most of my late spring, early summer clematis are close to spent, but this Samantha Jo variety is still looking great. I mean, it had more flowers a week ago, but still looking fabulous. This only gets like 3.5 feet tall or something like that. It's really pretty with white and kind of like almost like a pinky purple on the edges. The President Clematis is also on this trellis, and that is the only bloom left. So this is the Gomphrena Truffula Pink. That's an annual. And then we have another variety of Yarrow. I think this Yarrow is just really pretty. This is Firefly Sunshine, and this is its first year as well. But look at the color. It's just like a nice buttery yellow. Really very, very pretty. And in this front garden bed, the Phlox Opalescence is just starting to bloom. It's going to open up a lot more. I have been looking for this variety for so long. I just couldn't find it locally. And I ran into it this year. So these are 3 plants here. I just really love the light pink with the little dark pink in the centers. And then I have this poor little sweet potato vine. It's probably time to let him out of its cage, but I know the bunnies like it, so I try to leave it on as long as I can. Normally I also would plant more annuals like right in front of the phlox there, but I really wanted to make sure the phlox had plenty of breathing room, so we'll see how that works this year. And then across the way from the phlox, some really pretty back to the fuchsia salvia. I bought that this year. I usually have rose marvel salvia, which I really like, and that is right back there. It's had a huge bloom already this year. I cut it back so it's re-blooming, but I wanted to try a couple other varieties. So I really do like this back to the fuchsia variety, and then I just have an annual salvia kind of tucked in between there. And then tucked behind here, I started this from seed. This is a tall blue planet ageratum. I'll put the exact name on the screen. But I have this, I started this from seed. They grew beautifully, very easy to start from seed. And I have them popped throughout the garden beds all over. And I think it's just the color really pops. So it's really easy. You kind of can just add it here and there, and it really can make a difference to the flowers around it as well. And the Opalescence Phlox is from the Luminary series. And I do have back here I think it's Ultramarine is what it's called. It's just starting to bloom, but I think that kind of deeper, darker pink is going to look great with all the other light pinks that I have. And this annual, this is the Senorita Rosalita Cleome. I love this annual. This will be the 3rd year in a row I've planted it here. It will get as tall as this limelight hydrangea, so it will get about that tall. And it's just really a strong plant, can really hack all kinds of weather, drought, heat, whatever, and looks fabulous. And then in front, I do have the lovely pink Cashmere Verbena, and I'm going to let that kind of drape over the stone. That's really only just begun, but the color is really pretty. I think this will be just like solid pink cashmere here within a month. Mini Vista Supertunias. I love the Mini Vista series. There are 3 white Mini Vista Supertunias right there. In my garden, where I'm trying to add more perennials and shrubs and have a little less annuals, but when I do put an annual, I want really a nice punch of color. The size, and knowing what that size is going to be of the Supertunias, the Mini Supertunia series is just phenomenal. This right here is the plum veined, 3 of them right there as well. Plum veined Mini Vista Supertunia. I love them. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video and you'd like to see more like it, definitely hit that thumbs up. Even subscribe. I'd love that. I hope all of you have an absolutely fabulous day.